Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
And today, James, after much deliberation, it's a wild card special as we approach Gameweek 16. There's only 4 more weeks left to use the bloody thing. And it's been a week of chaos, hasn't it, really?
Are you sitting so low in your chair because you're hiding from the fact that you've only just activated your wildcard?
Is that any better?
It's much better, thanks, mate.
It's more the angle of the webcam than where I was sitting, but yeah, you know. I decided yesterday before going off to the London Stadium that I was going to activate my wild card. I had a cheeky look at it. The fact that we'd been having discussions about it all week anyway meant I pretty much knew what direction of travel, bar one curveball. I've got 4 players from the Brighton Spurs game, and that automatically was enough to say, right, fine, just get it done, to be honest with you. Sanchez, Yves Bissouma, Reguilon, and Harry Kane were my 4 victims. So it ended up being a case of, if I could have used 2 free transfers and a hit, then I possibly would have, but that would have still left me 1 player potentially short. And then with other injury potential setbacks, Rafinha's fixture swing, it was just Ben Johnson's obviously out. It was just fine with 4 players definitely out. And then other couple of fringe players that are a little bit meh, just fucking get it done. Because I don't see myself using it before. All my players now have good fixtures all the way up till game week 20. On the whole, you might get the odd Arsenal for West Ham, for example. It's not an easy fixture, but it's also not a bad fixture. But everybody's got reasonable fixtures all the way through to game week 20 now. So, yeah, I'm fairly set. I did pull the trigger and the wildcard is active.
I think you've been very unlucky. I think you obviously had an idea where you'd identified, I think game week 19, you were going to go slightly differently. Fine. I think for anybody who hasn't used the wildcard, the events of this week has probably pushed them over the edge in terms of the change of fixtures anyway. Brighton-Tottenham obviously getting canned. Rumours over players like Jota. So as we stand at this moment in time, there is a rumour circulating that Diogo Jota didn't train for Liverpool yesterday. Obviously, at time recording, we don't know what Jurgen Klopp's going to say today. I suspect he's probably not going to give us any information and probably not help us in the slightest. And as it's a Friday deadline, that makes things a little bit more difficult. But I think, yeah, it's almost unavoidable. Those who were waiting have probably gone, oh, sod it, done it. Because I looked through the Twitter community and I realised the Twitter community is a small bubble. But I'm seeing -8s, -12s knocking about like everywhere because you've got people in like Tony as well, right? Tony's in a lot of teams. He's going to be out because of COVID.
Yeah.
And there were so many little issues.
It just ended up, and to be honest, I'm glad I've used it now because it's no longer a debate or an issue. So when I got in at 11:30 last night, I just did it. Just checked the last check on the price rises, price falls, and got it done.
With that in mind, do you want to go first?
Let's do. Yeah, fine. Let's do it.
It's like, oh no.
Whatever, which way.
I reckon you should go first. I reckon if I go first, you'll start making transfers while I'm talking.
Nah. There's only 1 player that I will potentially move on to an alternative, but I don't see a better solution at the moment. So in goal, Manchester United's number 1, David De Gea. I have Ben Foster as my backup goalkeeper. I know he's flagged, so that's fine, but I don't know where to go. Where am I going to get a 4 million keeper? Ben Foster's back in a month or so, and he might start playing then. So, yeah, might start playing then. I don't know really. Ben Foster's fine, just leave him there. I'm not really bothered about moving him on. If there was an obvious 4.0, I would do it, but there isn't, so I can't. And I don't have any money.
You buying Ben Foster as new, or was he there anyway?
No, he was already there.
Okay, so you bought him at 4.
He's
4.1. He is almost definitely going to go to 4.0. The concern I'd have with Foster is because there's a kind of surge of ownership, and obviously there's obviously a lot of people got Sanchez. obviously they're going to move on to something. I wonder if people like in that case who've got no money might even look at the Watford double up, like Backman and Foster. I really don't like that, by the way, because they're still just so shit defensively at the moment. But it might be again, you change a keeper, and then what happens then if a Watford game gets called off? I don't think I'd want two goalkeepers from the same team at the moment, personally.
No. I'll leave him in there.
No, I think that's fine.
The fact that I've got no pressing other transfer needs in the next 5 weeks, if I needed to move him on, I'm sure I'll find the opportunity to. My defense, so Rudiger, Trent, and Cancelo all survive the wild card, but Reguilon and Ben Johnson are gone. In comes Kyle Walker and Javier Manquillo.
Okay, you're going to need to explain this to me. So why Kyle Walker?
Well, I did the rest of the team. It was the last spot. I had 5.5 million, and I thought he was the best option for my money.
Have you got a strong bench or a weak bench, would you say?
My first bench, I've got a playing bench.
Don't tell us the names yet, but is it strong or is it? Yeah, are they all playing? Are they all regular starters?
All regular starters and all fairly okay. 2-pointers all the way. Manquillo is his third sub, so he's the least, nailed in any way.
I prefer Laporte over Walker if you want to go that way. I know that's more risky. I know that because he's certainly going to get rotated, but I think there's more in it. Obviously, I did some analysis of Bernardo Silva last night for the patrons, and I tell you what, the amount of clips I saw of Aymeric Laporte having near misses from corners and stuff, goal imminent.
Yeah. Okay, there's one to consider. I mean, that was the last spot in my 15-man squad, and that was my 5.5 million that I've got left. Who do I go for? So I ended up with if I can afford a City defender for 5.5.
Did you think of not spending it? So are you intending?
Yeah. Well, which I'll tell you about in a sec.
Are you intending to start with a back four?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Midfield, survivors, Egyptian King, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
Jota is still in there at the moment, and Conor Gallagher survived as well.
Okay.
His fixtures are decent the next three at least anyway, so didn't really.
Are you up big value on him?
Yes.
What did you buy him at?
Cheapest chips, 5.5.
5.5. Okay, yeah. It's definitely more difficult.
I lie. 5.6. I bought him.
Okay, 5.6. What is he? 6 or 6.1?
6.1 now.
Yeah. Awkward point to sell. Was he only getting a 5.8 then as well? I get that.
Yeah, there was nowhere I wanted to go. So Salah, Jota, Gallagher stay. Yves Bissouma as my budget enabler is gone. Billy Gilmore has come in.
Okay.
Even just the extra fixture this weekend made it worthwhile. Gilmore on set pieces. I'm much happier with Gilmore at the same value than Bissouma on my bench. And my fifth midfielder was Rafinha and is now Jared Bowen. And I really toyed with the idea of cheapening out on Kyle Walker and turning Bowen into Bernardo Silva. But I think a Walker-Bowen or even Laporte-Bowen combo outscores a Lamptey-Silva combo, for example, or another 4.5 and Bernardo Silva combo.
Okay.
Up top, Antonio stays. I would encourage all listeners to disregard any opinion I have on Mikel Antonio, because it's very heavily hinged on stubbornness from holding him through so far that I can't bring myself to sell him. So I'm not sure if my opinions and values on Antonio are worth anything, to be honest with you. The fixtures are good. West Ham are scoring goals. I jumped on, there was Twitter Spaces hosted by Fergie this morning, and I'm not sure who, I feel like it might have been Luke, but I'm not sure. So in the last 5 games, West Ham have played City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Wolves, top 4 defence, and Brighton. And the only team that scored more goals in that run than us are Liverpool. So there's still goals in West Ham.
Yeah,
so
and did Antonio get in that run?
Well, he got an assist, but look, there's still goals in West Ham, right?
A headed assist near the corner flag. What a guy!
Yeah, do you think he looks tired? I want you to cuss him out as much as you can, because he'll score 4 goals.
No, listen. I actually, I've not got Antonio, and he's someone ideally, like if there was more money, I would stick him in. And one of the main reasons as well is not just the fixtures. One of the concerns I've really got is I don't have a forward at that price point. And although we think Bamford may have suffered a setback for Leeds, unconfirmed, and Calvert-Lewin is not available yet, looking ahead 4 or 5 weeks, it's probably going to be important to have a forward in it around that price value. And I am aware of that. So no, I don't mind. I obviously don't mind you having Mikel Antonio, mate.
Nah, he's a good player. Dennis is obviously in. I mean, I got Dennis last week.
Why is Dennis obviously in?
Well, because he already was in. I got him last week. So he's not on my wildcard. He's not a wildcard pick. Dennis is in there. But he's had two price rises this week alone. So
there'll be another one tonight after deadline, I should imagine as well.
So I'm fine with him. And then Harry Kane is gone.
And I was going to say he's in.
I've bought Cristiano Ronaldo. That third striker slot was a real debate. I was considering Vardy, but then your game against Leicester potentially at risk next week deaded that straight away. Then I looked at Lukaku, and I've basically been swayed with the stats around Ronaldo as a flat track bully. I'm looking at that. I'll look at the next two, and I would say on Ronaldo, if I don't like what I see from United and I don't like what I see from Ronaldo in the next two, I'm not scared to come off him if I need to find money to improve my team elsewhere. So at the moment, Ronaldo's in. He's got a 2-game run to prove it to me, and then he can stick around a little bit longer.
So if I've got this right, you've got De Gea, Trent, Cancelo, Rudiger, Walker, Salah, Jota, Bowen, Gallagher, Dennis, Ronaldo, Antonio. Is that correct?
Correct. You've named 12 players, and then Gilmore and Manquillo.
Yeah, they're obvious substitutes.
Yeah. So those are my first front 9 players.
Who are you benching this week?
Gallagher. Everton
really
at home
to Everton.
Yeah, the others have just got better fixtures. Dennis is the one that's debatable. Dennis or Gallagher?
Listen, if Jota, did you buy Jota earlier, or you just got him?
No, I've had him for ages.
Okay. Obviously, if he misses out this week, what a great first sub to have. Anybody else?
If he misses out, if I hear news that Jota's out long term, I could consider just selling him. But again, Jota I bought at 7.5.
If Jota's out long term, you're going to buy Bernardo.
Yeah, exactly. Simple. I bought Jota at 7.5. He's now 8 million. So again, I've got value tied up in there that I don't. If he's only out for a week, I'm not going to jump on. But if he's out for a longer period of time, then yeah, I'm going straight to Bernardo. Then I have triple City. I think City are going to go on a good run. I've improved my goalkeeper. You'd rather have De Gea than Sanchez. I've improved my defense. I'd rather have Walker or even Laporte. I'm open to ahead of Reguilon. Obviously, double improved because the fact that Reguilon's not going to be playing now. We don't even know the injury status. Rafinha to Bowen. Bowen's got clearly better fixtures moving forward now. And Ronaldo for Kane. It's not a revolutionary wild card, I'd call it. I'd call it an evolutionary wild card. And just five changes. But it feels right to get it done.
5 changes. 5 changes.
6 if you include Gilmore for Bissouma, but that just feels like the lamest.
We include it.
6. So yeah, 6.
When you reflect on that in hindsight, do you think, shit, I wish I'd gone early. I wish I had that extra team value in the squad and made 10 to 12 changes right at the start.
As in game week 6, 7, 8?
Whatever, yeah.
Or earlier this game week, do you mean?
No, listen, I mean, it doesn't help. You've missed out on nearly a million in pips, right? The players you've bought have gone up. Yeah, mate.
Not even. This game week, not even. Price rise this round, the only ones I have missed out on are Ronaldo. He's gone up 0.1. Dennis, I already own.
Have? Yeah, no, that's fair play.
De Gea went up last night after I bought him.
Jared Bowen.
And Bowen. Those are the only 2 price rises I've missed this week. 0.2. And the price falls that obviously hit me was Kane, but that was 0.1 only because of the half value. And there was one other. No, I'm lying to you, James.
You certainly could have been building up and playing.
So I've missed 0.3 this week in my valuation.
You certainly could have been building up
earlier in the week to later.
Basically, playing the market. But it's more the case of, in hindsight, do you regret not going like really early? Game week 4 to 6 or whatever.
Not bothered. No, I'm fine with this. And I look at it and I look at my squad and I've clicked on every little icon, view information. What are your fixtures like up until Christmas? I like them all.
Or you could just look at my spreadsheet, which would be much quicker.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm happy.
You have access to it.
Salah captain this weekend, Ronaldo vice, and on we roll. I'm benching Gallagher as we stand. I'm benching Gallagher ahead of benching Dennis with Brentford away.
Yeah, I'd want to play Dennis tonight. Definitely.
So, yeah, all set. Wildcard done and dusted. I am open to, like, the thing is, Carl Walker's the one. Like
I don't like it.
But I'm open to if we get news later on in the presses, he can go. Like, there's so many options in that space. Laporte being another one. I can downgrade to five and a bit somewhere. Even might add a third West Ham in Sufal if I'm feeling fruity. So if I do that, then that's fine. It'll give me other options elsewhere. I might then actually bin Gallagher for, say, I really dropped down and I wanted to go to Bernardo.
Is that
but
locked?
Yeah, other than that, I'm fine.
Is that locked in your mind, or are you indecisive elsewhere?
No, barring any ridiculous news today, this is pretty locked.
Javier Manquillo. I take it you've got 0 spare.
0 spare.
Okay, fine. All right. I wish you luck. Let Brandon Williams be your Javier Manquillo
alternative
escape plan.
Yeah. There's not a lot down there at that value, to be honest with you. So.
Before I cover my team, briefly on Tottenham, I can't believe the amount of people that kept replying to me this week. James, there's no confirmation that the game is off. Is it going to be off? Like, I don't know how clear people want training ground is going to be shut until at least Monday to understand. Nobody needed the Premier League to say the game is going to be off. Charlie Eccleshare, who works for The Athletic, is, in my opinion, the most connected Tottenham journalist around. He has written a piece this morning, and he believes it is likely that the Leicester game will be postponed as well in game week 17. I would put it at Leicester and Tottenham being off at around about 70%. Nowhere near the kind of the 100% certain I was the Brighton game was going to be off. In terms of announcement, if you're hoping you're going to get some sort of announcement today, you're not. And by the way, you may not by the time game week 17's deadline starts, because the deadline is basically Tuesday afternoon, right? And Tottenham don't play at Leicester till Thursday. So there's no guarantee that game will even be called off before deadline. You need to be aware of that. The Liverpool fixture in game week 18, Eccleshare thinks will be okay. But there has to be a small element of doubt even about that fixture. Mm-hmm. It depends. It depends if the spread's been worse. It's been reported this morning that a number of youth team players have got it as well. So it could be they've only closed down the first team part of the training centre. It could be that gets shut down as well. So keep your eyes on the prize. I guess for most people, if you've got like Vardy, and a few people obviously will, I don't think you can be selling him with looking like the Newcastle fixture will go ahead. He did play in Napoli last night. But in terms of if you were looking to, like I was talking about Harvey Barnes, maybe even as a placer for 1 week or 2 weeks even, like that's completely off the table. Forget that. So it's probably handy that in the circumstance, no one's looking to buy Tottenham now. Obviously, it needs to be sold. Whatever you've got, Tottenham should be sold. Newcastle people aren't looking at, because I guess there is a small doubt about the Leicester Newcastle game, because I've had reported cases as well. They've just travelled to Italy and are coming back. It looks like that game will be okay at the moment. But would you be shocked if you woke up tomorrow morning and found out that was off?
Nothing would shock me anymore, James.
No, well, there you go.
Nothing.
So this is why, in terms of like keepers, I mean, just basic principle ideas for people. Keepers from the same team at the moment's probably a bit of a no-no as it stands. Like I'm talking about, say, Backman Foster is obviously the cheapest way to do it. I wouldn't, because of what's happening in the UK at the moment, and also they're shite defensively and not going to get you many points in any case. And just really basic guys, do not be vice captain Jota, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Sadio Mane, like vice captain someone from a different game. That's okay. I'm working on the basis everyone's definitely captain Mo Salah for at least the next 2 game weeks. Please don't vice captain Trent or anything like that, just in case, guys. Right, my team. So I'll tell you who's gone. Aaron Ramsdale is gone. Ben Davies is gone. Rafinha is gone. Heung-min Son is gone. Callum Wilson is gone. Harry Kane has gone. Foster, Lowton, Gilmore, Zakiri also gone.
10 players.
And Rudiger is probably going as well. I say probably because at the moment he's still in the squad because I'm up 0.6 on him. And I refuse to move that until Thomas Tuchel's done his press conference. There's also a small possibility that I may end up completely reworking things based on the team moves. But the plan is of now, he's going. So
can you read that list to me one more time? So Ramsdale.
Of the players gone, Ramsdale, Rudiger, Ben Davis, Matt Lowton, Rafinha, Son, Gilmore, Foster, Wilson, Kane, Zakiri.
So the only players that I own that you are selling, well, Foster, Rudiger's a maybe, Gilmore, Kane, and that's it. And Rudiger's a maybe.
So the only players staying for me, as it stands now, Salah, Jota, who's an injury doubt, Cancelo, and Livramento.
Okay.
It's not impossible that Rudiger could stay. Everyone else, he's almost definitely a goner. The only other one that's questionable is Billy Gilmore, because I've actually gone with a 4.5 million midfielder rather than a 4.4.
Understandable. Okay.
So maybe not, actually. Here's what I've gone with. Like you said, you've gone David De Gea in goal.
Yeah. I
don't want to be pissing about with a goalkeeper until kind of blank season, game week 13. Manchester United's fixtures, brilliant up to game week 28. I'm not sure on the rest of the squad, bar Ronaldo, basically, in terms of who I like and who I don't like. So I think he's the way I've decided to go. Is David De Gea. That's a definite for me. At the moment, sub goalkeeper, I've gone with Gunnarsson of Brentford. He's 3.9 million. He's on loan to some club in Norway. He's due back in January. I don't think much of Fernandes. I'm going to go with Gunnarsson as the sub keeper. Defenders, Trent, Cancelo, obviously. Rudiger is going to go to squeeze in Reece James. I can't get past when I look at the data between the two players and I look at things like Reece James averaging 2 shots per game. His average FPL points per start is way in excess of Rudiger. Basically, when you start breaking it down, James is by far the better asset. Of course he is. I am conscious that Rudiger is as nailed as any centre-back from the top teams can be after this period. I think it's proven in midweek against Zenit again that they need him badly in that team. And because of the lack of Ben Chilwell, Rudiger, I think Rudiger is probably the one case at Chelsea where I could say he might actually start every league game over this period. I bought him at 5.5 as well, which complicates the matters. He's 6.1. So you look at it and go, it's good value. So if he goes, like, he's never coming back. But I think he might have tipped out from a price point perspective. And I've spoken so many times about people have looked at moving, say, Rudiger to Chilwell or James in the past. And I've always said, like, that if you've got the luxury to do it, great. But I'm not sure it's something you want to be forcing in for -4s and stuff like that. I've now got the luxury to put James in. I am conscious that he may end up playing in midfield this weekend, which I don't think is good. I've also seen him ping a few shots from that area, though, when he goes centrally. So Reece James in, and I think that's the ideal back three, isn't it? James, Cancelo, and Trent, in my opinion. Defensively, as I said, Livramento stays. At the moment, it's not a guarantee that he will. I'm just looking at it and going, I bought at 4.2. Is there anything better than 4.2 out there at the moment than him? And at the moment, no, it's not. He's played every single game this season. I imagine he will get a break at some point. They have some fixtures like Brentford at home, Newcastle at home, where he might be useful. But I felt like if I was selling him, I was coming right down to like Manquillo or Brandon Williams or something. And I'm looking at going, I'd much rather have Livramento. I'd much rather have Livramento on the bench during this Christmas period.
Agreed.
The one I really, really consider daftly is Shane Duffy, which might sound daft to people because he's obviously got no game this weekend and he's suspended for game week 17. I've had my eye on his price all week and it dropped to 4.1 last night. Now, we think Dunk's out for at least a month, possibly longer. We've got no update on Adam Webster at the moment. he's going to play these Christmas fixtures, all of them, and cheap. And he's a threat from set pieces in just about any game. And though I think they are going to struggle without Lewis Dunk, they are still they're a very good side, Brighton. We know it's difficult for anyone to play against them. So I considered him, but what I came to the conclusion was I've gone with Diego Dallow of Manchester United at 4.4. Wan-Bissaka picked up a hand injury, reoccurrence during the young boys fixture that he'd suffered previously at Chelsea. And I've come to the conclusion he's worth the punch short term. And if it doesn't work, then I can move that to Duffy and stick Duffy there on the bench instead when Duffy's back available and free up a little bit of cash. But I think walking into Norwich away, Brentford away, a Brentford that might be without Tony, I presume he'll be back, but we don't know when he got the positive test. So if he got the positive test on Sunday, the Sunday morning prior to Leeds, he's going to miss the Manchester United game as well. Mm-hmm. And I think, obviously, the way to change shape, it's basically a 4-2-2-2 now. There's obviously real emphasis on the fullbacks to provide width. I'm not convinced that Wan-Bissaka gets back in anyway, because let's face it, he's not had a good season. He's not the best on the ball. I think Dallow is rubbish defensively, to tell you the truth. But in terms of the natural width he'll give United in terms of pushing on, it might be more suitable under Ralph Rangnick, and he might get the shirt. I think it's one that if he starts tomorrow and keeps a clean sheet, people are quickly going to fly into him, I think. And I kind of want to be a part of that in case that proves to be correct. I'm not convinced it is, but I've decided, look, let's get him in. Norwich first, fine. Let's do it. And ironically, I might even end up benching him this weekend, despite the fact they're playing Norwich. But I kind of want to be a part of it in case it works out. I'm also thinking, well, look, if Jota is like a week-long niggle or something, great. I'll have Diego Dallow away to Norwich and Brentford as first sub. That's great coverage. Midfield, the four in midfield hasn't changed. It's been the same all week, and I've very rarely thought of going anything different. That's Salah, Jota, Jared Bowen, and Bernardo Silva. Bowen, we've both had our eye on for Sky and FPL for a number of weeks. I'm a bit disappointed he scored against Chelsea, actually, although it's kind of bumped the value and the interest in him. But someone was going in anyway for me with Turner fixture. The only doubt in my mind about it was, did I want to take a 2-week punt on another player first and then buy him in game week 18? I've decided, look, sod it. He can go straight in. Bernardo, I've really analysed. And the conclusion I've come to is that actually judging him on form doesn't give you the answer. And judging him on fixtures, judging him on statistics also doesn't give you the answer in terms of, is he a better choice than Ilkay Gundogan? When you break down the choice, and Gundogan's obviously 7.3, but I bought Bernardo at 7.4 earlier in the week. I think Bernardo's 7.6 now. He's going to keep going up because of the form he's in. Gundogan definitely comes out on the statistics quite clearly in terms of like number of shots per game, shots in the box per game. Obviously, Bernardo's got the greater returns at the moment. But the conclusion I came to when I delved into it is you couldn't even really analyse Bernardo. And the reason you couldn't really analyse him is because he plays a different position in every single match. I've looked back at Man City's games since the Chelsea game where he played in a double pivot against Rodri. And in every single Premier League game afterwards, he's played a different role for the team. He's played right wing. He's played holding midfield. He's played as a 10. He's played as a false 9. He's played left of a midfield 3, right of a midfield 3. He hasn't actually played the same position in consecutive Premier League games since that Chelsea game. So when we're analysing the data and stuff like that, I don't even know where to start because he might end up playing in a holding midfield role. Now, I don't think so with these fixtures coming, but then obviously he's a non-asset. And that's what I got stuck in my mind, like with same with Gundogan last year. Oh, he's a holding midfield player. When I look at the analysis, Gundogan and Bernardo are driving into the box all the time when they play together. If Bernardo plays high and wide, he's driving into the box and coming off the flank. He can obviously play as a false 9, as he did at Manchester United, or he can play as a more orthodox 10 as he played at Aston Villa. So I did look at the data, but I kind of disregarded it. And what I decided was, although there's nothing to choose between the two of them, If I go Gundogan and Bernardo goes off again this weekend, it's an instant regret. If I go the other way and I want to drop it down to Gundogan, that obviously becomes easier now, having got the value in Bernardo. He's in sensational form. I left it too long with Gundogan last year. I might have left it too long with Bernardo, and I'm not prepared to be stubborn about it, because honestly, I've kept telling people week on week, I don't see it, I don't see it, I don't see it. So I'm not going to be stubborn about it and put my hands up and say to those people I said don't buy him. Sorry, I'm now buying him. The fifth midfielder is Jacob Ramsey of Aston Villa, rather than Billy Gilmore for 0.1 more. I just think there's more in that. He started in the part of a front three for Aston Villa last week, and he gives them nice balance whether he plays as part of a front three or in a midfield three. He started 3 of the 4 games so far under Steven Gerrard. The one he missed against Man City was because he was an injury doubt. So I think Gerrard likes him. I think he can play multiple roles. And I just think he might have a little bit more of a ceiling than Billy Gilmore. I don't really want to look at the Norwich shirt on my bench, to say the truth, over this Christmas period. I'd rather look at a different shirt. I think, well, if he has to come in for me and he's possibly going to be playing as the furthest forward as a midfield three, or even playing a wider role in a front three, yeah, I'm interested. So at the moment, I'm going Jacob Ramsey. Up front, like you, Suj, Ronaldo. I think the killer point on Ronaldo for me is exactly what we said the other day on the podcast. Mark Southern's brilliant analysis back in kind of August, September, that he's flat track bully and his fixtures are too good and he's very capable of going off. And I think he's had a break in midweek as well, so there's no concern on that. I think there's every chance he plays all 3 games the next week. And if Liverpool and Tottenham did go by the wayside in game week 18 and get postponed, where you want to stick your armband, I wouldn't want to be threatened to get him in against that Brighton defence. I'd just captain him. So he offers a fullback option constantly in almost any game week. To be honest with you, I don't think I'll captain him at all for ages. Even when the AFCON comes round, the 2 games that Salah misses is Villa away and West Ham at home. Well, there might be better alternative options.
Jota himself might be a better option just with Liverpool.
Exactly that. Jota at home to Brentford or away to Crystal Palace could even be, the go-to captaincy at that point. And I think it's another one I've been stuck in my mind about, right? I don't want to pay that money for Bruno Fernandes when I'm never going to captain him. Well, the game's different now, isn't it? Captaincy, it's not even really a debate when you've got fixtures like Salah at home to Villa / Newcastle. I know Villa are improved and Newcastle might be better under Eddie Howe, but it's overthinking not to put the armband on Salah at the moment. So I think he's going in for me. It's another one I look at and think, if he goes well at Norwich tomorrow, people are quickly going to steam into him and I need to be a part of it.
Yep.
Emmanuel Dennis is in for me as well, Suj. And I found it a really difficult call between him and Josh King.
Especially as their prices are creeping ever closer to each other. The gap between the two of them is much less now, isn't it? I think 5.8 versus 5.7 now.
So I've gone with both.
Yeah.
And this is what I said to you a week ago before I'd even looked at a draft. I said, I think that might end up being the front three. Is King, Dennis and Ronaldo. Between the two, I would go King, personally. Dennis's numbers over the last 3-4 games are getting closer and closer to King's. But once you add in the fact of King being, I think for me on the eye test, the fact that he's central, the fact that he's going to be the penalty taker as well, I think King gets the edge for me. If you've been buying Dennis early like you have, I get not wanting to flip that and stuff. I completely get it because I think it's close. I think it's getting closer between the two of them. And I think Dennis is beginning to get the sense of now Ismaila Sarr's out, like, this team needs me. I'm important. Like Dennis's numbers have gone up since Sarr's injury.
It's like the Son versus Kane. Are you ready for Twitter? Everybody that's bought King and he goes off is going to be all over Twitter talking about how great they are. If Dennis does, they'll be giving grief to the King owners. It's one of those stupid ones. It's so close. Look, just pick one and take a deep breath.
Well, like I went Kane and Son, I've gone Dennis and King.
Yeah.
That is not a long-term strategy move. The idea is to look at the next 3 fixtures for Watford, which are Brentford away, Burnley at home and Crystal Palace at home. And then look at Armando Broja. Make a decision between the two, drop that down to Broja or Broja, and then spread that money. That's the principal idea. And it might even be that I go a week earlier because Southampton have got Brentford at home next weekend in 18. So it might even be, like most people, I'm going to watch Watford tonight. I'll try and catch the game at Burnley on Wednesday night as well. And then make a decision after that. And it might even be as early as game week 18. I drop with one of them down to Breuer and look at starting him at home to Brentford. The thing I don't like, I do and I don't like with Breuer, I think if I went Breuer, I'm quite comfortable to bench him. I'm happy to leave him on the bench because there's so much indecision about whether it's him, Adams, or Armstrong. And I do note that Che Adams might have a niggle for this particular weekend. It doesn't help with the long-term decision making. Dennis, I do not want to bench. His form's too good.
Correct.
So I'm looking at it as well. And that's why, as I said, he might be our bench Dallow this week. I look at that Dennis against that Brentford. I don't think they're up to much, Brentford, at the moment. I think I'm going to play the two Watford guys tonight and bench probably Dallow away to Norwich. And this is what people go, that's mad. But I'm looking at it more and more. And obviously, I'm close to the experience of what's happening with Tottenham this week and going, if I cheat this out with respect, Suj, with people like Manquillo, Gilmore, there are weeks that those players are going to end up in my team. And as much as they're budget saving options, I don't want them in my team. Newcastle's fixtures are dreadful.
Question for you, James.
And they're still dreadful.
How much money have you got left?
But if I go with that team, and I wouldn't say it's 100% certain, because that anything needs to wait on the team news. And obviously, if Jota is ruled out,
Reece James over Rudiger.
Yeah, James over Rudiger. This would give me 0.1 spare.
Okay, so you're really on the edge. Looking at your squad structure versus mine, I mean, the keepers are basically the same. Defense is basically the same. One cheapo and then premiums. Midfield, we've got basically all the same midfielders. You've got Ramsey ahead of Gilmore. So the difference between your squad and my squad is a simple, from a value point of view, is I've got a 5.8 million midfielder and a 7.7 million striker, which is Gallagher and Antonio. And you've got a 7.6 million midfielder in Bernardo and a 5.8 million striker in King. So it's Gallagher and Antonio versus King and Bernardo is the kind of differential debate between our teams. And then you've got some fringe bits and pieces like Ramsey versus Gilmore and Livramento versus Manquillo. We're not going to even... That's not...
Well, you've got Carl Walker as well.
Well, yeah.
But then you're not going Reece James.
No, I'm not. And I have debated it. Reece James will come for me if I downgrade Antonio to... And I did look at... For Reece James, my move was Antonio to Breuer, but that's going to be not anytime imminent. I've got one other name that has come to mind in the discussion that we've been talking about, and it's even more punty than Carl Walker potentially, although he did play midweek and is getting back to fitness. And your Diego Dallow made me have a second look at Luke Shaw. 5.1. Start of the season, we were all loving it at 5.5. Back to fitness, new manager. I mean, there's if he gets a return or two, and I know I don't even want to read anything into his assist against young boys, to be fair, then he could skyrocket in value very quickly because I think a lot of people won't own David De Gea, will want a United defensive asset for the run, and Luke Shaw might be where people go to because he's as cheap as he's been for a while. Well, he's been at this price for a while, but Luke Shaw, any thoughts?
Psychologically, I'd had my eyes on him for well over a month and hoping he'd hit 5.0, but I was also hoping he'd be fit through this period. I don't think it's a guarantee that he plays over Alex Telles this weekend. I think Shaw will regain first choice spot, but I don't feel that that's worth the gamble at the moment. Whereas I look at Dallow and go, okay, 2 game weeks, I'm right or wrong. If I'm wrong, it's down to Duffy when Duffy's back available for Brighton and frees up a tiny bit of cash. That's my plans. I think Luke Shaw would be too expensive. I mean, I do have, just to cover, a backup plan if Jota is ruled to be out for a month or so. And that backup plan is actually to add Gundogan to Bernardo, go the both. And that would free me up two more transfers, which would be Gunnarsson to go to Backman and have a proper playing sub goalkeeper. And it'd also free me up to go Livramento to where I would go, Suj, is Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney's the player I haven't spoken about who I really want to stick in the squad. I think 4.7 for him is unbelievable value. Brilliant value. And their fixtures aren't the worst either. They've got a good run up to sort of game week 27 or so. Admittedly, there's a blank in there in 25. But yeah, I really like the idea of Kieran Tierney at 4.7. I really wanted to.
I hadn't realised he dropped so cheap, if I'm honest with you, mate.
That's
a crazy price.
One of the things I really wanted to. The thing with Tierney, though, is as well, he ain't going to play all these games over the Christmas period.
No, he was slotting to left side, the centre back sometimes.
There's no way he's playing twice in 3 days. As long as Nuno Tavares is fit as well, they know they can stick Tavares in for. I think Norwich away is like on the 28th or something. Tavares will probably play that one, the one you really want Tierney, and Tierney will play at Leeds, for example, or Tierney will play him to Wolves. Sorry, game week 20. But I think he's a super shout. 4.7. But I also, it wasn't worth forcing him in. For me to force him in, I'd then be going Rudiger over James. And I think I need to get Reece James.
Yeah, I mean, Reece James and Bernardo Silva are the two players that I am most worried about not owning, but I'm not going to break my team to get them in either. Bernardo, definitely. I'm not long-term worried about Bernardo Silva. He's on a good run, but I don't think he's long-term sustainable. Ride it if you can. I can't afford it. Reece James long-term is a miss.
Of course, part of the thing I can do as well is because, I mean, the two players I've really kind of got in my mind as really short-term thinking with my picks are Dallow and either or King or Dennis, one of the Watford players. Obviously, once I drop one of them down to, if I roll in 17 and decide to drop one of them to Breuer in 18 and Dallow's not right, I don't even necessarily need to come down to Duffy, do I? I could go up to Tierney. So little things in my mind. I've got a backup plan if Jota's out. If something suddenly drops like Salah's out, then it's carnage and this was a waste of time.
Yeah, exactly that. But then you'll have to stay tuned because I'm sure we'll put something out content-wise around that. Reece James potentially due a price rise tonight, so worth looking into.
If Salah
Son and Reguilon are due a price fall.
Shit, Sherlock.
Yes, shit, Sherlock, because Reguilon this week has already had a price rise. So now he's only having the price fall for the price rise that he had earlier in the week.
People want
and Eric Dyer's was due one, but didn't actually happen.
That's people deciding that they want to let Tottenham's fixtures against Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, Norwich go, and then buy the player before he's still got the Norwich game to go when the fixtures are starting to look more difficult. Yeah, I get the sense in that. Anyway, if Salah was out, I'd go to Marcus Rashford, I think.
Okay.
I'd captain Ronaldo. By the way, there's no suggestion that Salah is out. We're just saying hypothetically.
Yeah. I mean, you need him to be out for quite a while because we all bought him at the same price, which is 12.5. And he's 13.1. Finding a way back to Salah might be
you just find a way, I think. But yeah, if Salah's going to be out, sorry, I should clarify. There is no suggestion most Salah is out. I'm just talking about wildcard ideas. If he was unavailable for 3 weeks or so, which would be like 5-6 worth of game weeks, he's going, right? I'd go to Rashford, I think. I'd go to Rashford and spread the money rather than Bruno Fernandes because I think there's something punty in him that I like at the moment in terms of he really could become an OOP. The two positions price-wise that I'm not comfortable with are that. I'm not comfortable that I don't have a forward at kind of the 8 million bracket because of what I said, that next turn of fixtures around about sort of game week 19, 20 for Everton and Leeds and potentially wanting a Calvert-Lewin or Bamford or even to go back to Antonio. And I don't like that I'm not anywhere that kind of is in and around 8 million to 10 million because one of them, Sancho, Rashford or something, is going to become a go-to, I think. But at the moment, I have no idea which one. And I'm looking at it as well and thinking, can I come off Salah in game week 21 before the African nations when they go to Africa and then go to whichever one's right there as the third player, assuming by that point I might have obviously moved Dallow on. But if Dallow proves to be a good asset, it'd be 4.8 by that point, in which case he'll end up staying.
The other thing that I don't like about Dallow versus Shaw is we've got De Gea in goal. do you really want to do you trust them enough to double up?
Oh, hell no.
That's the biggest problem.
But they've got a new manager, and the first Premier League game tells you clean sheet on the board. And them fixtures are too good.
Yeah.
They're too good. Even just break it down and go the next 5, they're playing. I mean, Norwich, Brentford, Newcastle, Burnley, there's every chance that'll be the bottom 4. That's 4 of the next 5 fixtures. So I think you've got to have an interest. And obviously, as we know, it goes longer term, all the way up to when they go to the Etihad in like game week 28. So if you were going to pick someone to do it with right now that wasn't one of the big 3, then it would be United. I'd rather be swinging this weekend, I think, with De Gea and Dallow than Ramsdale and Tierney, if that makes sense.
Yep, agreed. There we go. Listeners, hope you enjoyed our rundown of our wildcards. I know it's a very tight turnaround until the deadline, which is later on this evening. It's at 8 o'clock kickoff tonight. Must be. It's 6:30 deadline.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's obviously not a huge amount of time to listen, but get it in your plug-ins, and hope you enjoyed the conversation. James, you'll be live today on YouTube at 5:30?
5:30 p.m. UK time.
Deadline stream.
I'm going to put everybody on notice right now. I'm going to be way too busy today to answer DMs, so apologies in advance. I wish you all good luck. As ever, if you're on Wildcard, make it the team that you like, or copy mine. You copy mine, you look at red arrows soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I might put Luke Shaw in just for shits and giggles.
What's your rank now?
It's only like 10k behind you, 220k.
Talking about I'm at about 120 now, mate.
Sorry, yeah, I was about 10 points behind you, 15 points behind you. That's what it was, not 10,000 places. Yeah, 220, I think I am, give or take. So I don't think between us, there's only 3 different players in our starting 11, so it's going to be hard to, see any decent big swings.
Listen, I am not cock blocking you here. Can we just be clear?
No. Well, I read my team out first, and I only pulled my wild card at 11:30 last night. So there we go. Listeners, hope you enjoyed it. Deadline stream today. Back at you next week with a full week of content. But yeah, over the weekend, stay safe, stay indoors. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. I hope your arrows are green. Cue music, please, man, child.